that dude. Bet I see you from the top, yeah, real soon. Looking down on the haters that I've been through. Told them I'll see you later, yeah, big truth. I keep a real good pace. Built a big house, damn, look at that place. Up in my mind, cause that's my space. House so big, full of positive things. And I can't be shook, cause I ain't no rook, man, I wrote the book.
Woo!
Hey, man.
Hello,
hey,
hello,
lock in.
hello. Hey, it's game time.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Monster of the Gridiron, we're back. Got Terry Spain in the building. Got Glenn Moore in the building. Hey, it's draft week, guys. Are y'all excited?
Wait, the draft's this week?
You know what?
Is it?
I thought I thought it was like in May.
You know what?
No,
I remember we was back at the Super Bowl down in New Orleans, and now we're talking about the draft.
You know about the WNBA draft? The WNBA draft. No,
no, you talk about the pickleball draft.
That's the one. That's the
what
one.
it is. That's what it is.
We can't be talking about the NFL draft.
Hey, it's go time.
It's go time, guys. Are y'all excited though? I didn't know if y'all excited.
Man, I'm gonna tell you, I'm cautiously optimistic, man. You know, because I don't know what they're going to do. I mean, we really don't. It makes it a little more interesting. I just need them not to F it up. That's all. That's all. I just need them not to mess it up and be pragmatic with whatever decision they make. So to answer your question, am I excited? I'm cautiously optimistic. So my excitement is slowly brimming. I'm on a slow simmer right now. I'm cooking at like about 250 right now, like a brisket, about 250.
Oh yeah. Well, sometimes that's what you need, dude. You need to let it slow cook. I'm gonna tell you right now, though. I'm so excited. I had to reach out to an inside source to see if they're gonna pry me in the information, but it's a little tight lip right there. But that's how excited I am. But
okay,
it's a good time, man. I'm excited. As long as you're right, though. As long as they don't mess nothing up, because we're in a perfect position.
Really are.
Yeah,
really are. 4 picks in the top 100, 3 in the top 50. And you're in a situation. I know a lot of people are saying that the Bears are in win now mode. I don't think the Bears are in win now mode. I would agree that Poles probably feels like he has to win now. I think there's more pressure on him. But as far as Ben Johnson, he'd be like, dude, if it don't work out, his job is straight. He ain't the one that's going to be out the door. And if Poles is the one, let's say the Bears go under 500 and Poles is asked not to come back for whatever the reason or reasons may be, Ben Johnson's position to get the GM that's going to agree with his vision, his mindset. And that may be more beneficial for the organization overall. And that's a possibility that, if the things don't start out the way that they want them to, you might start hearing that kind of whisper, that kind of stuff. I might even start the rumor.
Hey, I tell you what, I don't want to start no rumors because I want the Bears to actually play well. I mean, I'm sick and tired of these 5 and 6 win seasons. We have a lot of talent. We need to just go ahead and execute and do what we need to do.
And when you say a lot of talent, but we at this point, we need more blue chippers. At this point, it's about putting that talent together for 60 minutes. Not waiting to the second half like we did last year. Year before last, we start out fast and we would, just throttle down the stretch. Last year, we start out slow and then, we make it competitive down the stretch. This year, we just want a little bit more even keel. And when I'm really assessing this thing, there's so many ways we can go. I know a lot of people don't want to trade up. But if you feel that Ashton Jeanty is a difference maker and a blue chipper, because let's be honest, guys, we've evaluated these players in the draft, and
I can't abide by this Ashton Jeanty trade up, man. I can't.
Yeah. I'm about to go dark too.
hey, now quiet as kept. I would rather trade down because let's be honest, it's a lot of after Ashton. It drops down. I wouldn't say severely, but some scouts I'm talking to.
What drops down?
The running back pool.
Well, what?
Right now, Travion Henderson is being pegged as a late first round pick.
I don't think that. I'll tell you this though. Quite honestly, there are a lot of running backs that are capable of getting the job done. Now I'm asking Jeanty. I like him. Why? Well, he went to my high school, so I'm definitely, you know, I like him with that. And his dad, me and his dad were Navy Chiefs together in the Navy, so okay. I like that. I like that part. But man, when you look at Hampton, when you look at the kid from Iowa State that nobody's talking about, even the RJ Harvey from UCF, that kid is nice as well. There's so much talent for the running back position. If the Bears trade up to get Jeanty, even though I like the kid, I don't think that helps us out. I think that hinders us more than anything.
Well, here's the thing. Let me go back a little bit on what you said earlier, Will, and it's not to attack you, but it's to ask and to probe, and maybe if you want to say challenge, whatever. You said we need a lot of blue chippers, but earlier you also said in terms of time to execute. I don't know if blue chippers, and also too, we said this team has talent. So if it has talent and needs to execute, do you really need the blue chippers or chipper per se? Are we one player away, or are we several players or several positions away from being able to compete and have that sustainability throughout the season and have the depth to be able to endure what usually happens in NFL football, and that's attrition through injuries? So to me, compromising some of our draft capital to get a player when we not discernibly a player away, to me, kind of missing the forest for the trees. I really think we're in an opportunity right now where if we trade down and acquire another pick, we can still stay in the first round. Let's say anywhere between 17 and 25, but you pick up an additional third or fourth. I'm down for that, because what the Bears need, the areas that we've been talking about, whether it's running back, whether it's defensive end, whether it's additional offensive line, or even we've talked about safety as well, there are enough players, particularly at defensive end, running back, and offensive line, that you can still get a quality player. It doesn't have to be a blue chip player, but look, dude, if you're telling me I'm getting a 4-star player, so to speak, college vernacular, over a 5-star guy, there's very little difference. A lot of times the blue chipper may show earlier, but that 4-star player may be that guy that you, and most teams are built around 4-star guys and 3-star guys. That's what you want to be able to have, that depth at your core. So I believe that having and maximizing the picks we have and even acquiring another pick helps us not just for this season, but going forward, because of what you said earlier, execution. And I believe having Ben Johnson here helps us be able to execute a lot better, because the reason we lost last year, the year before, had a lot to do, hands down, a lot to do with the coaching staff, or therefore lack of. So with the better coaching staff, better execution in place, you know, that 7-win season, that 5-win season, those turn into 10, maybe back-to-back double-digit win seasons. And so we're a lot closer, but I think having that depth helps us, especially on the offensive line, especially on the DN. We need another edge rusher. We need somebody that can help at that point of attack as well. It's good against the run, good against being able to apply some kind of pressure on the edge. And not only that, but kind of fortify that defensive interior, because, again, as we've talked about it time and time again, the quickest point to the quarterback is straight ahead. So we have positioned to attack and to be able to acquire players, very good players, very solid players. And most pundits, and I'll end with this, most pundits say the best part of this draft pretty much is rounds 2.5 through like 4.5. That's where you're going to get those guys, going to be those impact players. May not be the blue chippers, but they're going to be those impact players you need. And I think we need more impact players than a blue chipper here or there. That's just what I'm saying.
And you know what?
I totally agree.
I'm saying hypothetical, and that makes sense. But if I'm looking at every area of this, and I would rather trade down and accumulate more capital. Mm-hmm. But if Braxton Jones is going to be the left tackle, guess what Braxton Jones does very well?
Run block.
He runs block. And I'm not, that's the only way I would say, you know what? It wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing to get, because that's one thing. If we're going to have him at left tackle, that he does well. Now, the pass blocking, it leaves a lot to be desired, because in year 3, going into year 4, what was still killing him? The bull rush. So yeah, if we're going to trade down or stay at 10, at some point, we have to get a left tackle, because, you know, the kid from Yale, after that Minnesota game, everybody wrote him off.
He wasn't ready. He was thrown in. You know,
right.
So
but we know that.
You still got to see what you still got to see what he can do.
Right.
But we do need a left tackle. a
Right.
backup left tackle.
Right.
Yeah.
So do we need a backup or do we need a starter? You know.
Well,
Yeah,
I'm gonna tell you
both.
this: they're going to be
I
starting.
say both.
They're
I
going to be
say
starting
both.
potential. Yeah, there's going to be a few of them that's there with the 10th pick, and we don't. And if we trade back, they're still going to be having some good offensive line depth that's there as well. So I mean,
when you say it's going to be a few there, because right now they're predicting Will Campbell will be gone. They're predicting even Banks
what's
out
the
of
kid
Texas.
from Texas?
Kevin Banks. They predicting he'll be gone.
I don't. In some of those drafts I seen them having the Bears drafting Banks, and like 4 or 5 of the mock draft makeups that I did see, they had the Bears drafting him.
And quiet as kept, I wouldn't mind if we did. Like, I'm at a point now, like Glenn said, we got 3 picks in the first 42 picks as of right now. 10, 39, 41. So I see a left tackle, an edge, and a running back with those 3 picks. That's what I see.
Hey, that sums it all up. That'll make everybody happy.
Well, I don't know.
But I do see the Bears trading out. They're going to be trading back in this draft.
Well, I don't know if it'll be from 10 or if it'll be from one of the second round picks. But I don't disagree. I think the Bears probably do trade back as well.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's funny because I talked to you and I challenged your whole blue chipper theory. With that being said, I'm of the mind at 10 to take the best player available. And, you know, is he a blue chipper? I don't know if he's necessarily a blue chipper. I think he's the best at this position that's coming out. But and it's a thin position, and it's not necessarily an area of need per se. However, I think it fits very well with what Ben Johnson has done, being the guy who likes working out of 12 personnel. I think it fits very well with helping our left tackle when it comes to blocking. I think it also helps with our ability to run and not know if we're running or passing. I think it helps on third down, especially third and short, anywhere 3rd and 4, 5, 6 yards in terms of short area conversion. I think it also helps in terms of flexibility. And that's drafting Tyler Warren. I think you have a guy who has so many skills in his toolbox that his ability to be utilized and maximized best comes from creativity of an offensive coordinator. And we saw as very vanilla that Penn State can be with its offense over the last several years. Somehow, miraculously, they were very creative when it came to Tyler Warren. And you really got to see just a lot of what this young man can do, even from, hiking the ball from, the center position on, at one time. So here's a guy who, although not that speed in terms of, taking the seam and going down, 20, 30 yards and stretching it that way. Horizontally, he's very good. His run skills after the catch are very good for a tight end. His ability to line up anywhere, his football IQ, which allows you to be able to utilize him in so many myriad ways, I think is something that can be extremely effective when it comes to keeping teams off balance, helping protection schemes with your young quarterback who still has to learn another new offensive system, helps with your running game that you want to implement. So you don't necessarily have to draft that blue chip running back. You can still get one of the running backs in a very, very extremely deep running back class. I just think it helps in so many ways that even if you don't get your slot receiver right away, it still gives you that third down option in terms of a receiver, somebody who you can trust. And it helps Cole Kmet. It really helps everybody on the offense. So I have a very hard time moving off of him because of what he offers and what the Bears did in free agency, where they were able to acquire enough offensive linemen to give them this flexibility to say, hey, what do you want to do? Now, as much as I am, being a proponent of Tyler Warren, I am not stuck on him if there's another position that you want to address, be it tackle, or if you say, you know what, I want an edge rusher who's explosive. Give me James Pierce because that guy runs, sub 4.5. I don't have to have him third down, situations. I put him out there until he's ready and bulks up a little bit to be better at the point of attack. You still have Odeyembo, who you just recently picked up, who can help you on, first and second down, so to speak. So if you want to do something like that, I'm cool with that. If you find an offensive lineman, whether it's Kelvin Banks Jr., whether Will Campbell falls to you, I'm okay with that. The only thing that I have an issue with, if you spent that 10th pick on a running back because it is such a deep position. And I don't believe we're a running back away from being a much better team. I think a lot more has to do with the execution of the offense and offensive scheme and what you're doing. So yeah, I say all that to say in terms of your blue chippers, I still think the Bears are in a situation where they can draft best player available. And if Tyler Warren's there because some of these other guys are gone, I don't see anything wrong with taking him. You can still address offensive line, you can still address edge rusher, and you can still address a slot receiver or a safety and running back. I'm sorry, I don't mean to leave out the running back with your next 3 picks, because again, we've got 3 more picks before you get out of 100. So you still got 3 more picks that can be extremely viable in terms of whatever it is that you might want to do next. And you can trade down and still get something else too. So that option is still available as well, even with those other picks.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. So as we're talking about the draft and we're talking about, picks for you gentlemen now, who would you want the Bears with the 10th pick? If we stayed at the 10th pick, right? Mm-hmm. Who would be your ideal pick for that pick for the Bears?
I just waxed poetically about Tyler Warren, and I know there are going to be a lot of people that don't agree with me. And I'd venture to say, if you watched him play this year, you might think a little bit differently. If you remember how the New England Patriots utilized both Aaron Hernandez and Gronkowski, you might think a little bit differently with having Cole Kmet and having Tyler Warren. If you remember what the Atlanta Falcons did, it was just for 1 year, but they had 3 tight ends who weren't as athletic as these guys that we have. And they would take that all the way to the Super Bowl, which they should have won with better play calling down stretch. Don't get me started about how they blew that Super Bowl. But we've seen where having 12 personnel even 13 personnel can really be something that can keep defenses off balance, because guess what? They don't face that a lot. They don't see that a lot. So having to prepare for that is something different. And not only that, but you're talking about a division where defensively, you look at the defenses in this division, you better be able to run the ball. You better be able to convert third down. We're so worried about being explosive. We haven't focused on the fundamentals of converting third down and keeping the sticks moving and getting to the red zone. You get to the red zone, now you got 3 big bodies you can use in the red zone between Warren, Kmet, and Odunze. And you've got a killer in DJ, somebody that if you forget about him, he's going to make you pay. So, and not to mention that we have running backs, retaining Swift right now, who's good out the backfield catching the ball. And we don't know who else we may require in the draft as well. So I think having someone like him presents you with so many options. Now, if you get someone like Shamar Stewart, that's a lot of potential. There wasn't a lot of production in college. Right. I'm not sure I'm pumped on his athletic prowess right now. He's only going to be good for one thing right now. And we don't know if he's going to be good at that one thing soon enough to make a difference at the 10th spot. You're the 10th spot. I need you, your top 10. I need you to be an impact player day one.
Immediately.
Immediately. If not day one, the first month. And when I say impact, I mean, you don't still have to start, but you got to be out there on the field. Like Sam Laporta, you got to be out there on the field doing something, making a difference where teams have to account for you. Someone like Tyler Warren, you don't know where he's going to be. And him being on the field helps everybody else out too. It's more than just a microcosmic way of looking at it. There's a way of seeing how certain pieces of the puzzle fit together to give you a greater tapestry of what you're trying to weave out there on the field. And when you do these things, when you're able to keep people off balance, when you're able to continue to reinvent yourself, it is very difficult to game plan for that. So I'm talking about at 10, I want an impact player. You give me somebody like Amarion Hampton, okay, he may be, but if your run block is not good, if your run block is not good,
I don't want him at 10. I wouldn't mind taking him, but I wouldn't want to take him at 10. What about you, Will?
If we stay at 10, I'm going edge. I'm gonna be honest. I like Mike Green. I like if Jalen Walker's there, because I think he'll be a dynamic player in DA's scheme. And then the other kid, is it Stewart? Not Stewart. Is it Stewart from Georgia?
Talking about Mike? No, not Stewart from Georgia. No.
I know what you're talking about.
I
know what you're talking about.
He's an edge, the one that everybody keeps saying the Bears better not get.
But the one that was injured.
Yeah, his measurables are crazy. The one, no, he's not from Georgia. I'm sorry, from Texas A&M.
Oh, you talking about Nick Skirton or Shamar Stewart?
Shamar Stewart. That's what I'm talking about.
Okay, it's not Shamar Stewart.
Yeah, so
yeah. Measurables are crazy, but okay, did that show up in college?
Well, and that's the only thing. But again, coaching though.
Nah, bro, I ain't buying that one because Nick Skirton transfers to Purdue, and he had a good season, and he was there for 1 year.
But he dropped. Hey, Skirton had 10 sacks at Purdue and dropped to 5.
Yeah, but that was his first year there. And Skirton was still making an impact with pressures and stuff. Look, man, I've seen the Shamar Stewart story, and that was Walker that went to Jacksonville.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's nice, but I have a very difficult time taking a top 10 pick when I don't see the production in college and expect that somehow that it's going to translate in the pros at a top 10 spot. Now you tell me, like someone like Javon Dexter, and I beat the drum in terms of getting him during his draft. I will say, hey man, it wasn't his fault. To your point, Will, it was coaching. It was a bad scheme. Like the whole defense looked bad. It wasn't just him, but the whole defense looked bad. They were asking him to do things where he had to read and react. He wasn't getting upfield. And, you know, he did what the coaches asked him to do. He basically did his job. But that wasn't a top 10 pick.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I have more latitude later on where you tell me you're getting a player and you have to, you know, coach him up a little bit or put him in situations, so on and so forth. I get a top 10 pick. I need you to be someone that I can put on the field at either at your spot and or other spots, and that you're making a difference on the field. If you can't answer that question with your chest out and 10 toes down, move on. And I can't answer that with Stewart. I just can't. I have way more questions with him than I'd have answers.
And my ancillary, like I said, if Campbell's there, or even because I'm hearing that
what about Banks?
Who?
Banks.
Kelvin Banks.
Yes.
The offensive tackle from Texas.
From Texas.
If Banks or Mason Graham fall, then I would have to heavily consider Graham.
Mason Graham ain't falling, bro.
You don't think so?
Hell no. Yeah,
they're gonna have to. He has to have done something crazy for him to fall. I promise you on that.
Yeah, like smoke, like, you know, just and not smoke weed anymore these days. You're gonna have to smoke like some crack with like 5 iPhones on them. And that stuff be posted up on the screen at Green Bay.
Think about this, and you said all the time the death wire. Okay, Big Bill, he's a free agent after this year. Zach Pickens, you know, I'm gonna go on record and say Zach is gonna break out this year. That's what I'm gonna say.
Well, he slimmed down. I'm gonna tell you, Zach slimmed down. He's slim and trim. So hey, maybe a new coaching staff will bring the best out of him because he was very productive in South Carolina. So I'm with you on that. I'm really hoping that this kid comes out and proves to us that he's worth the pick that we picked him at.
Which goes back to, if it ain't Mason Graham who won't be there at 10, I'm not trying to pick a 10. I ain't trying, because apparently you're expecting Zach Pickens to break out. So I don't need to take Mason Graham at 10. And someone was asking in the chat earlier, you know, in terms of getting that edge rusher at 10. I'm not against it. I'm really not. I'm just saying you don't have to, because there are so many really good edge rushers. And if you look at what Dennis Allen's done since, you know, his time since he's been a defensive coordinator from the Raiders on to the Saints, is that he usually kind of goes for those guys with the long wingspan, the 6'4", 6'5", 260 type kind of guys. And there are a number of those guys in this draft, and you don't have to get them at 10. You've got Skirton, who may fall to the second round to you. Maybe use your second round, your second round picks on him. You have a guy like, you know, I've been beating the door for Landon Jackson. A guy who I think is extremely versatile. I know people say he's a little stiff in the hips, and I get all that. But again, you know, to your argument, I'm throwing, you know, some coaching. But there's things that you can do with him that his physicality is hard to replicate that if you don't have other players. And holding at the point of attack is something he's good at doing. He's also one of those guys that can drop into that short zone, athletic, good hands. Basketball is his first love. You know, he plays the game a little bit like a basketball athlete out there. And then because he had a late season injury, he'll probably be there a little bit later. And again, when you drafting somebody I mean, hey, look, if Abdul Carter fell, sure, but that's not gonna happen. You know what I'm saying?
If he falls, we better take him. Don't even blink.
Yeah, don't even blink.
But we need to take him immediately.
Unless there's a lot of teams that want to give you the farm to get him, but that's not gonna happen. That's a pipe dream. But a guy like James Pierce, you know, a guy like him, you can get, you know, like in the second round as well. And here's a guy who has the ranginess, the athleticism. We know that he's explosive. He would probably be the most explosive defensive lineman once he gets to the team. I mean, hands down, he'd be the most explosive one. And that's a guy who, again, based upon some of the versatility you have with your defensive lineman already, you can have it to where, you know, he's rushing from whatever side you want him to. You can move Montez around a little bit. You know, having Grady makes a big difference, and it allows you to do some things. It does. You know, I've even said sometimes you can toy with having a 5-man front because they have their defensive lineman. To your point, if Zach Pickens is playing well, you get me on a 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9 or longer, and you getting me someone like Zach who can penetrate upfield with his quickness now because maybe he slimmed down some. Javon Dexter, you've got Grady, you put Montez, and you get someone like James Pierce. Man, that's a lot coming at you from a lot of different directions.
Yes,
you can stunt with those guys. You can play some zone blitzing with those guys. It frees up a lot. All that I'm trying to say is at 10, there's enough defensive edge rushers that you can get the one specific to whatever your schemes are, and you don't have to take him at 10. At 10, you get the best player available, whoever that might be. And again, I don't mind if it's an edge rusher. I'm just saying you don't have to. You don't have to take a running back there. You know, you don't have to do anything you don't want to effing do. You can take exactly what you want to do at 10. And I think that's where the Bears really can benefit in this particular draft if they don't mess up.
Yeah, we're sitting pretty, Glenn, as far as like where we at with number 10. And in the event that there's some astronomical things that happen in this draft, which normally happens, I know there's probably going to be a lot of excitement. I don't want the Bears to get lost into the shuffle and feel like they have to move up to get a player that they could have gotten. I don't want the Mitch Trubisky thing to happen again. You know what I mean? But I think that we have competent
collywobbles on that
one. enough coaches in there now that can say, okay, yeah, this won't happen again. But if we have to pick a player, and if Banks is there and he's the absolute best player that's on the draft, that's on the board, we got to go with him. I mean, you're going to be upset because you're getting another person that can protect your quarterback? No. This kid can play 2 positions on the field, on the line.
But I'm gonna throw a curveball at you because let's say
hold on before you can throw the curveball. You was asking us, T-Spain. So who do you want at 10?
Yeah, who you want, T? T.
I would probably go with a offensive lineman.
Okay, that's a position. Give me a name.
So I like Will Campbell, which I know he's not going to be there, but I also like Banks. And the only reason why I know we did a great job in addressing our offensive line in the offseason, but injuries do happen. And I don't want it to be where we are decimated with injuries and all of a sudden we asking Will and you, Glenn, to come on the line and block for Caleb. You know what I mean? We want to make sure that we have that line sewed up. So we have to go get another offensive tackle, i.e. a Campbell, or i.e. Banks. Then let's do it. Or the kid from I think he's from Missouri, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's
Mimbo.
Yes, but
Mimbo's right tackle. He's more right tackle.
Yeah. So
they're not gonna move Darnell to the left. To your point, T-Spain. You know, because Braxton is in his last year, and you know, getting Kevin Banks, he could be his successor. You know, and you have a year to get acclimated. It's the right time because it's a new offense, so you don't have to learn a different one next year. You know, you got a guy that comes in, he does his apprenticeship, so to speak, and then he moves over, and he's your left tackle going forward, and you still have 2 young athletic bookends. With Wright and with Kelvin Banks Jr. And I'm okay with that. I very much can live with that.
Yeah, I'm the same. I'm with you, and that's the reason why I think that we can show up and get another offensive lineman. And but we're kind of deep in the as far as in the draft. There are some pretty decent linemen that a lot of people are not talking about that can be serviceable for us. So
that goes a good one right there, T-Spain. We met this kid at the Senior Bowl, Carson Vincent. I had a good.
Oh yeah, Yeah.
I think Alabama A&M. I had a good conversation with that kid.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like,
there's a
he's
lot
gonna
of,
miss-
and that's one of the benefits of going to the Senior Bowl, right? You get to meet
Right.
these kids, interact with them, and see how they play, their character. I interviewed, and Will, you can attest to this. I interviewed about 10 young men in at the Senior Bowl, one-on-ones, and you could see their character. Even the kid from out of Arizona, Jonah, he's Samoan.
Yeah, Savania.
Yeah, whoever gets him, and he's probably going to go in the second or third round. That kid is hungry. I saw it in his eyes when he was talking to me. It was no, sir, yes, sir, but he was hungry, and that's what I like. You can't teach heart, man.
No, and I know this is going to sound crappy, but I don't mean it to. I hope I don't offend anyone when I say this. You know, I drafting Samoan players, drafting players with a Nigerian background, more times than not, you're getting individuals who have a commitment level that tends to be a little bit above average. And you're getting guys who generally, not necessarily in this order, but their religion or their faith, their family, and football usually are in their top three. And having someone, we've got Sewell on the team. You've got Panay, his older brother that's playing with the Lions. There are so many. Even Tua Tagovailoa. You don't. There's no issues with him. You know what I'm saying, in terms of what you have to concern yourself with. Be it. I mean, here's a young man. And really, I hope everything stays with him in terms of his blessings, and he keeps his head straight, because he's one concussion away from being in a bad spot. Even with that facing him, you still saw his dedication to coming back and playing and wanting to finish out, on his terms. So getting someone, you mentioned his hunger, I think that's just, it seems to be part of the culture, is what I'm saying. And getting a young man like that, I mean, at his size, about 6'4", almost 340, with the ability to play inside or outside, and you get him in the second round, I'm not pissed at all. As a matter of fact, you tell me I get an impact player, whoever that is, at 10, and I followed up with him, and then I get me a running back, tell me I'm not doing what the hell I want to do on the football field. I'm going to be able to control the trenches. And we saw exactly what that looked like this past Super Bowl. We've seen other Super Bowls, we've seen other teams, but if you want a current, fresh reminder, just look what the Philadelphia Eagles have done the last several years, and specifically this past Super Bowl, where they controlled the trenches on both sides. We need to think in that type of fashion, in terms of, you do that, it gives you flexibility. Look, man, I like Hurts. I was just telling Will the other day, Hurts to me is a very fortuitous Justin Fields. A little less athletic. Seriously, a little less athletic.
Yeah,
he's a little less athletic. His arm isn't as big, but he's had the time to grow, and he's been able to grow because he hasn't had the same type of oppression on him,
right?
Be it from the outside oppression from what happens from his oppressors on the field, and dealing with those who are undermining him, within his own camp. So I look at Jalen Hurts as like, he's a good quarterback. He is by no means a great quarterback. He isn't a difference maker at that put it on the shoulders, have him win the game kind of thing. I mean, literally, dude, he had the best freaking weapons you can think. Best running back, one of the top 5 wide receivers. Hell, really, two top 20 receivers, really.
Big time line. He had a top line.
Ridiculous line. And you had a good coordinator, so, and you had depth. And you had a really good tight end. You got top 15 tight end. So, I mean, the dude's sitting back there taking his time throwing the ball. So all I'm saying is, you want to be able to create that type of environment for your quarterback, for your team to grow, and for everyone to not only understand their roles, but be in the best positions where they can succeed. It's hard to do that if you don't have the right type of people in the positions to be able to do the things that they can to execute on the field. And really, I mean, it's not rocket science. It's pretty much been the tale of the tale since I've been around. You win the trenches, you improve your chances to win every single game, every time you step out on that gridiron. So that is not what we see what it's looked like the last 15 years, man. Seriously, it's been a shit show. Sorry,
Yeah.
it just has been.
Yeah.
It really has.
Downright embarrassing.
Yes, time to change that. So what the
Yes.
Lions did. I mean, we said the Lions gone lying, you know, all that stuff. But dude, you look at that team right now, dude. There literally aren't any holes on the field. They got a lot of question marks with their coaching staff because they lost a lot. But on the field, I mean,
they came a long way from the paper bags, huh?
Oh my God, a long
from the winless team.
Winless team, man.
Yeah.
So hey, they make Jared Goff. You know, Jared Goff is able to be accurate because he has the time.
Exactly.
He's an accurate passing quarterback.
Solid line. All pros.
Yeah, he ain't moving. He's a very slow moving statue, you know, back there. But dude has time. He can play action off of that, and he has time to pass the ball. So, man, look, dude, you know, you want, not you, but anybody who wants, you know, keys to the car in terms of, you know, being able to drive where you want to. You gotta have an offensive line, man. That's the key. That's the key right there. Offensive line and defensive line to deter somebody's other offensive line from trying to do to you what you want to do to them.
Yeah. You're looking at New Harper. He's right. He said the NFL is a copycat league. The lines are limited due to Jared Goff.
Are they?
Like quiet as kept. I do believe that's why the Lions won't ever get to the Super Bowl because of Jared Goff.
Really? Because year before last, it wasn't him. Catch the goddamn, excuse me, catch the ball. Okay?
Yeah, you definitely got to catch the ball.
And I'm talking about not just the receiver, but the defensive back. Stop batting the ball, catch the ball. Game over.
That was your boy, though. That was your boy. What was his name? Vildor?
Yeah, Vildor. You catch the ball.
And look, they got Muhammad over there, too. Muhammad getting sacks. We couldn't pay Muhammad to get a sack in Chicago. If you look on Instagram, that boy was like a fashion show getting out of that white Wraith over at the Marriott. I said, look at this guy.
Yeah. I tell you what, it's a new year. I'm honestly, man, I'm excited. Every year we say we excited, but this year I'm excited.
Listen to what Glenn just said with Detroit, though. The thing that hurt Detroit this past year on the offensive side, the trenches was great. But the defense fell apart. If you got depth on that defensive line and that offensive line, so when it's week 14, 15, and them little nicks start to, you know, having people sit out and having, you know, hamstring issues and ligaments and tendons, like when you can throw another a defensive interior lineman out there or edge, when you keep cycling them through, you know what I'm saying? Left guard, right, man. We looked up, bro. Tevin Jenkins was gone. Braxton was gone.
Everybody.
Nate Davis was gone before the season even started.
I don't know who Nate Davis. Is he a politician?
a wasted $30 million investment.
Took our money and ran. Took the money and ran.
I'm talking about, hey, that heist needs to be investigated and studied.
It does, and you know who I hold accountable for that.
Flus!
No, I don't hold Flus accountable.
Oh, you talking about Ryan Poe?
Yes. How you gonna be a former offensive lineman at a Power 5 conference blocking for Matt Ryan, and you sign Nate Davis? You know, you haven't picked up a left tackle since you got Braxton Jones in the 75th round. I mean, come on, man. I mean, you got
that was a heck of a find too, quite honestly.
I mean, that's Utah.
Yeah, that's nice, dude. And here, you know what? You did that your first draft. You had very limited resources. I get that, but it wasn't like you solved the problem at left tackle. It wasn't like you can't draft someone to challenge him or upgrade. And then, you know, all these other journeyman offensive linemen he signed that were just, you know, average to garbage. It's just, dude, I hold him accountable, most definitely. Look,
I'm gonna give the kid the benefit of the doubt from Yale, but I wouldn't have picked him in the second round.
No, they picked him in the third.
Well, second, third, I still wouldn't have got him in the third.
No, you said you wouldn't have picked the punter in the fourth. Because remember now, Christian Mahogany was still on the board. The Lions got Mahogany in the 6th round from Boston College. And he ended up starting for the Lions late in the season and was dominating.
I don't even want to talk about last year. Because
me either. It's hurting my head right now.
I literally felt And I know everyone's gonna be like, oh, you don't like Caleb Williams. I do not dislike Caleb Williams. I'm fine with Caleb. Do not hate Caleb Williams. Fine quarterback, fine athlete, great elasticity with his arm. Still needs to work on his deep ball accuracy.
Yeah.
Still needs not to scramble when he, every damn time. Are there flaws? Sure. No, he's fine. He's a talented quarterback. There were a lot of talented quarterbacks in last year's draft.
Yeah.
You can't tell me with that first. But here's the problem. Every time I say you could have traded down, and even if it's just one spot, even if it was just one spot, you could have got something. There's still no guarantee that Poles still would have drafted better with those additional players. So I don't know if giving him more resources meant that he would necessarily have better draft picks. I'm just saying that as opposed to getting Karan where he got him and getting a punter, that smacked of so much like, arrogance, I guess you could say to some degree, but just hubris. To me, it was the most hubristic pick I've seen in quite some time because we weren't ready for prime time. A punter, dude, the punter puts 0 points on if you got a kicker, at least he gives you 3 points. At least a punter puts 0 points. And if you're using him, that means you're not doing well. So if you got him with the hopes that because of your quarterback, your wide receiver, I mean, what did Caleb say? Hey man, you ain't gonna need to punt. Yeah. So why are you on the team? He's a weapon. And look, it's not about his talent. It's about the necessity of having a punter at that point in time. It didn't help us win any games. Did it? Did his ball placement secure a particular victory? Can you point to any one game where him pinning them inside the 5-yard line or having hang time where they couldn't return the ball led directly, tangentially to a win? No. Unnecessary pick. Pick. Now, it may pan out 2-3 years down the line, but I'm just saying for last year was a shit show when it came beyond the first 2 picks. Was kind of a shit show when it came to the rest of it. I mean, look, I like Booker, but you had to use capital from this draft to go back into the draft to get Booker.
Yeah. I will say this. Speaking of which, if there is a silver lining, at least we still benefited from the Carolina Panthers pick this year, right? I mean, this is the last pick that we get from these guys. But so and that's a 2nd round draft pick. So hopefully we will learn from those mistakes and draft better. I know everybody says it all the time, but you see some of these teams who will just take a crack at a pick and they pan out exceptionally well, and we're looking like, well, what were we doing? Who was on our board right now? What were we looking at that they weren't looking at? So I just think now that we have more eyes, I think it's not just going to be Ryan Poles' fault. I think he's going to have his hands, and along with other people's hands, is going to be all in this draft pick. It's not just going to be solely up to him. Everybody's going to be having a hand in this draft this year because of the unfairness to us, the urgency that the fans are getting with getting this hot shot coach, signing all these offensive linemen, signing some of the defensive linemen. It's going to be an urgency, and I hope they just don't goof it up in this draft, because that's why I don't think it's going to be solely up to him to who he drafts.
Totally agree with you. I co-sign what you say with that, T-Spain. And I think we've seen evidence of that in free agency. I think you've seen evidence of Ben Johnson's influence because we didn't just get a lineman. We got 3 linemen, and you got one that knows Ben Johnson's system. So that was Ben Johnson influence right there. And you got 2 other ones that were, top of the line in terms of at their positions in free agency. We didn't wait around. And with the expediency, how expeditiously we went and got and acquired these players for the offensive line, and then, making a move as quickly as they did and decisively. That's the other thing too, very decisive when he went out and got Grady. Because also in the Atlanta Falcons, Grady became available. So I think that's a Ben Johnson influence. I'm not saying he was the one person making the deal, but that's the influence. And you're seeing how that you're seeing the strength of that influence. It isn't just like a whisper or a nudge. It's like no, his voice is definitely, being heard. It's not a diminutive voice. It's not a one that's it's at the very least it's parallel, and it sometimes it may crescendo. So we may see what happens. Now, look, if Jeanty is available and he is taken, I feel that's a strong Ben Johnson influence because I think he's saying, I've got Jamar Gibbs with a little more power. I've got, they're not the same back, but he has his difference maker at the running back position. Although I wouldn't be shocked if the Broncos make a move and try to get Jeanty, because I think Sean Payton sees a lot of what he can do and how that offense could be more dynamic when you have that type of running back in his offense. So yeah, but to your point, T-Spain, I do think you're going to see the influence of more than just Poles' voice in this draft, and we'll feel it, before the first round is done. To be quite honest with you, especially if they trade down and we see what else they might do. I would say, by Friday, we may be talking about the Bears being one of those teams that is winning, because the draft still will continue, but we'll be one of those players. I mean, not players, but one of those organizations or teams that'll be in the top 5 of, we think this team did a really good job and they're winning in the draft, or they come away, with a high grade from what they did, at least the first, second, third round.
I agree. And a caveat on it, I'm gonna tell y'all something, because I'm reading where it says an NFL assistant coach on Shedeur Sanders said he was the worst former interview ever. He's so entitled. He takes unnecessary sacks. He never plays on time. He has horrible body language. He blames his teammates. But the biggest thing, he's not that good. So with that being said, if Shedeur is on the board by the time we select at 10, and Jeanty's gone, and Mason Graham's gone, and Campbell's gone, and our guy from Texas is gone, and Pittsburgh picks up the phone, because we already know Pittsburgh is not going out there with Mason Rudolph. And if they do, they only gonna do it for a short time period until whatever rookie they select is up to snuff. Do you, if Omar Khan make that phone call and say, I give you our first, our second, third, and next year's second, would you take that?
Yeah, that's a lot. I mean, I'll take it.
Yeah, of course.
But that's a lot.
No.
But they will overspend.
Think about it.
Hold on. Yeah,
Pittsburgh is built to win 9.
Yes, but Pittsburgh doesn't make those kind of moves.
No, but they don't. But I will say this though. One of the things about Pittsburgh, and you're right. So if Shedeur is there at 10, Pittsburgh is calling Chicago.
Absolutely.
And I'm gonna tell you this, because they need asses in the seat in Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
so they're gonna have to sell tickets.
But did
you have a quarterback? Nobody's not going to show up if you don't have. They're not going to show up for Mason Rudolph. Very similar.
Let me say this about Mason Rudolph. I'll be real quick. Let me say this about Mason Rudolph. I know he's average quarterback. Here's one thing that what's the one thing that Mason Rudolph does pretty well?
Accuracy.
Short to intermediate and don't turn the ball over.
He throws a pretty good deep ball. And he gets it out of his hand. I'm not saying he has a quick release, but for his deep ball, he doesn't have to do the big wind up. What receiver did the Pittsburgh Steelers just pick up?
Can you say DK
Metcalf? Exactly.
Yeah.
So with Pickens and Metcalf, you have 2 big receivers who like to go deep. What they need to focus on, Pittsburgh, if they're stuck with Rudolph, if they don't move up to 10, if Shedeur is gone, or if they don't move up to 10 to take him, or whatever they try to do doesn't work in terms of them acquiring him, they can live with Rudolph this year because A, they know him, he knows them. The fans are aware of what he can and can't do. I don't know if you all paid attention. Rudolph actually has played better the last year and a half. He's one of those players who, the longer he's in a system, the longer he's in the league, he acclimates and gets better. If you remember what he did at Oklahoma State, he was killing fools while he was there his senior year. He had a lot of deep passes. His passes per yardage average was pretty high. Oklahoma State had an explosive offense. So it's not like he is a bad quarterback. Is he the one that you are ringing the bell for? No, but
No.
You know, Rich Gannon took a team to the Super Bowl. We saw Brad Johnson take a team to the Super Bowl.
Gee,
Hell, they were both in the
back.
same Super Bowl. You know, we've seen other quarterbacks who aren't, you know, first round picks, who aren't premium picks, who aren't, you know, superstars. We've seen them take teams to Super Bowls, consistently go to playoffs, and we've seen them win playoff games. Pittsburgh can live with Rudolph. Do they want to? No, but they can live. And in the second round, you know, you never know. They may make a move to where they move up in the second round. If Jackson Dart falls,
I like Jackson Dart. And I like the kid from Memphis too.
Yeah, he's not bad. He's not bad. I don't know. I don't know. You know, that's someone that you know, he's going to have to develop a little bit. I don't think you're putting that pressure on him to take a team to the Super Bowl or the team to challenge in the playoffs. Yeah. Rudolph would still be that guy. But even Tyler Slow, you know, someone who has ability that's maybe a little more athletic than Mason Rudolph. So I'm saying Pittsburgh, they'll try. If Shadour's there at 10, they'll try. But if it doesn't happen, if Shadour's
there at 10, they're calling Chicago.
They are. I'm just saying that, and I said I was being short. I apologize for being long. I'm just saying Pittsburgh is not going to give up the farm just to get Shadour. They're just not.
Yeah, they'll give up that first pick, that first round, and maybe a second. But other than that, when you talk about third, fourth, and fifth, they ain't doing all that.
First, maybe second, and maybe a pick from next year.
Like next year,
a fourth or a third, or fourth maybe. And even with that, I would take it. I'm with you, Will. I would still take it.
Oh, yeah, because where Pittsburgh's picking, we're at, what, 16, 17?
No,
I think they're the
20s. 21st?
I think they're picking 21st.
Yep.
That would be your justification of getting a running back then with the 21st pick.
No, Mike Green Mike Green should be there.
If they're there.
Mike Green would be there. I'm not pissed at Walter Nolan or Derek Carr.
Yeah, Walter Nolan.
I like Walter Nolan.
But Nolan's his stock is going up right now.
You know who else I'm not pissed off? And I know it's not a position of need, but damn if he is not a difference maker. Malachi Starks.
Oh, yeah.
So because now you have another second round pick, so you can still get what you might want, but you're getting a top of the line athlete at a position that's not deep this year. You're getting a guy who's and because, you know, a lot of our secondary guys, they're going to be free agents, and
a lot of them, all four of the safeties going to be free agents.
Right. And Brisker, you know, we still don't know his viability for an entire season. So yeah, I mean, it gives you a little more. Yeah, I'm not pissed. You know, it definitely gives some flexibility. Maybe you take edge rusher a little bit sooner. You know, maybe you get two different types of edge rushers. I don't know. It just, you trade down and you get an additional second round pick along with a late first round pick. I mean, somebody else.
Yeah.
Somebody else might come and want to get your 21st pick because maybe Jackson Dart is still there and they want to get a quarterback because
that's when they have their option. Yeah, that's when they're gonna have to give up the king's ransom. If we move back to 21 and somebody trying to pick Jackson Dart and I know they want him, oh yeah, you're gonna have to come up some stuff now. You're gonna have to really wow me, make me an offer.
Yeah. Because I think what we're saying here, without saying it specifically, is that the Bears are a talented team because they significantly address weakness, the areas of weakness in the free agency. With the amount of draft picks they have now, they don't have to take a player at a particular position at any one of their top 4 picks. They don't have to.
Right.
So moving between, you know, the first and third rounds by acquiring picks and moving down all that stuff, all that does is help build up your war chest because, again, you got players on free agency that you're going to have to – you're not going to be able to pay everybody. You know, at some point, you know, you need to maximize, you know, having this rookie contract because it's not just Caleb's rookie contract that you got to maximize. Yes. Yeah. Because outside of quarterback, what's the other highest paid position that takes up a lot of your pie piece when it comes to your cap? Wide receiver and then edge rusher or vice versa. But definitely wide receiver. That's a little bit down there too. But definitely wide receiver and quarterback. So you need to have players in place that are either be bargaining chips or players that can, you know, that can fit in or players that you are not able to pay at other positions, you have them ready to step in. So getting more draft capital right now is not necessarily a bad thing because you do have some good talent. You have enough right now with your starting unit that you should be able to challenge any team in the NFL. I'm not saying you can beat everybody, but you should be able to challenge any team, even the two teams that played in the Super Bowl. The Bears have enough talent right now that they can challenge. They can challenge. And their playoff teams that the Bears should be able to beat. And in a very difficult division, the Bears should be able to challenge. The Detroit Lions, coaching staff, we don't know what they're going to be, what they're going to look like. There's a lot of adjustment there. Talent's there. Players have to learn how these two coaches are going to coach. You look at Minnesota, quarterback situation. They got to figure that out. Green Bay's probably the most stable of the other teams in our division. And what did the Bears do last year? They finally beat them. So I'm just saying that the Bears are in a position where they can challenge. Yeah, they really did. The Bears are in a position where they can not only challenge in their division, but they can challenge throughout their conference, and they can challenge any team in the NFL. So acquire picks, man, because you can build that core. You can solidify something more foundationally situated to going forward. And I think Ben Johnson saw that. He lived through that. He experienced that in Detroit. And I think he's going to bring that type of roster building acumen to the Bears. And that's what I'm intrigued about. You asked, am I excited about the draft? I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued because I don't know where they're going to go. There is a strong voice that's very and extremely influential. That's not just Poles. You know, like Poles, I feel like I figured him out. You know, like how his drafts are going to go. I don't know now because that influence of Ben Johnson, it's singing a song at a different tune, you know. So yeah, man, this draft should be extremely interesting. We're probably less than 24 hours away from when the Bears may have made a pick. So you know, hopefully at this time we're all three of us smiling. We're not doing this. We're not scratching our head going like, I don't know, like somebody got to make it work. Yeah, right. You know, so, or, you know, the middle fingers are coming up, you know, which I've done in drafts in the past, you know, the Trubisky one. I can't tell you how pissed off I was with man. I lost my damn mind. I lost my damn mind. I'll tell you the real quick story. That Trubisky pick. This is when I'm back over at NBC Sports Chicago, and you know, we're in back and forth in the studio waiting for the pick to happen. You know, it should be pretty early. Bears got the third pick. And your boy Alex Brown is in the studio. We're just kind of talking a little bit. And all of a sudden, we hear the Bears move up to 2. I swear to God that we both looked up at each other and we both said, dude, are they about to do it? Are they going to take Deshaun Watson? We got excited. We're like, oh, man. We're like, dude, I can't believe these guys. I'm like, dude, yes. That is the only reason why you move up, right? From 3 to 2. That's the only reason. When they said Mitchell Trubisky, we both at the same time said, what the at the same time.
Hey, y'all said it, and so did I. Because I'm an ACC guy, and I saw Mr. Trubisky a lot in the ACC.
And I'm in Texas, and I saw Patrick Mahomes a lot.
Yeah. So I was like, what? I actually cut the TV off and cut it back on because I thought it made a mistake.
Glenn and AB was up in there like Kendrick Lamar. He really gonna do it?
Oh, man. Bro, I can't tell you, man. We both said it at the same time. And we were mad, man. Like right before we had to go on, by we I mean I was behind the camera before they go on air. Dude, we was just like mad. Like somebody took our pocket, took money out of our back pocket, and we like, man, I can't believe we just got ripped off. And I remember they cut to Hallis Hall and they had fans sitting there, and they were all like, "What? Who?
Yeah.
Why do we?" I mean, nobody was. Remember at the Bulls game, they was like. It's just like nobody was thrilled with their pick, bro. Nobody. So yeah, I'm just saying I don't want to experience that. That took years to get over that traumatizing situation.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one, and I'm still suffering just a little bit, but I go to my therapist for that.
Yeah, every time.
So where you guys gonna watch the draft at?
Well, and knock on wood, because sometimes, man, when I say stuff, man, the universe starts to mess with. I hate saying this sometimes. I feel like I jinx it, but I'm supposed to be going up to Green Bay tomorrow on Thursday, so I may be watching it there. You know, at the area where they're having the draft and stuff. So we'll see. The weather might be kind of funky, so you know, we'll see. I ain't in my 20s no more, man. I ain't trying to stay out there in the cold, wet rain.
I'm with you,
know,
man.
all that. You know, I'm standing in one spot. I mean, you know, I'm a little old for that. You know, I don't mind circulating around, man, but it's cold and wet. You know.
Yeah, well, we ain't got to deal with the cold right now. I'm in Florida, so we don't.
Oh.
But
yeah.
I feel you. What about you, Will? Where you watching it at? You gonna be at the house chilling out?
Mi casa.
Yeah, I like that. That's a good spot to be at.
It is.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Hey, I'll tell you what, if I'm there and the Bears do something crazy and then you hear there's I don't know, there's some kind of commotion down there. Some fan seems to be losing his mind. That's your boy G. That's me. I'm down there losing my damn mind. Yes.
Hey, I'll give you the bail, man. Don't worry about it. Just give me a call. I'll bail you out.
Exactly.
They're gonna have some kind of frozen shot, and I'm gonna be like,
hey, if y'all want to, we could do something live. It's up to y'all.
We'll see, man.
Well, yeah.
Hey, I'm making no promises to tell you no lies, because the other thing is, you know, I'm not gonna be able to hear anybody while I'm there too. So, but yeah, man, because it'd be different if I had equipment and I was all mic'd up and stuff. But yeah, I'm kind of just going as a fan, man. But yeah, I'm not opposed to it. Yeah, if I can, maybe I'll do some interviews. Find some Bear fans, ask them how they feel. Ask some Packer fans if they laughing or they crying or somewhere in between.
No, you're gonna have a lot of fun, baby. Trust and believe that. So, like I said, we submitted our picks, and we want to know at home in the chat who y'all think we should pick at number 10 before we go.
I saw a lot of Mike Greens earlier.
I did. I saw a lot of Mike Green as well, and quite frankly, seeing him down at the Senior Bowl, because I don't follow Marshall. You know what I'm saying? So I'm looking at 17 sacks, but I'm looking at the level of competition. Hell, all three of us could go out there and get 10, 15 sacks. What is that in the MAC?
They're in the MAC.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what though, aren't they saying that he's the next Khalil Mack?
Yeah, I've heard that. You know, I mean, dude, it may very well be. Again, I'm not pissed at 6'3". I'm not saying he's short because it's taller than me. Obviously, I'm not 6 foot anything. I'm not sure if Dennis Allen, if that fits what he might want.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, 6'3", and unless he's got extremely long arms, I'm not sure if it fits what Dennis Allen really wants. I think Dennis Allen's looking more in the 6'5" range. 6'5".
Yeah, he's a rangy type of guy.
Yeah. So we'll see, man. I mean, I'm not pissed at the Mike Green pick. I'm really not. It's like, you know, tell me what you're gonna do. I mean, you're talking about a guy that had one exceptional season. You know, he went from 4.5 sacks to 17. Why is that? Yeah, in the MAC. I mean,
that's what people are saying about Genty playing at Boise State. They were like, well, who did he play against? I mean, I know he played against Oregon, but you know, that's what a lot of people are saying about him.
Yeah, and he played against Penn State too.
Yeah, I think about Marshall Faulk, and I'm not saying Genty's Marshall Faulk, but you know, Marshall Faulk is San Diego State. Probably equitable talent. I think they're in the same conference, both Mountain West. Well, yeah, both Mountain West type schools. I think, you know, the one thing when I look at Genty's highlights, I shouldn't just say highlights. I mean, I've watched some of the games too. But when I look at a lot of his big runs, I should say, a lot of times, man, he's not. No one's challenging him before he gets to the second level.
Mm-hmm.
That's not going to happen in the pros. Not to the degree that it happened. That's the degree that happened in college. And I think he's a more difficult back to bring down or to get a hold of once he does have that freedom of space because he is so compact. He has ability he does a lot of his extra yards. You'll see he'll spin forward as he's getting hit. So he avoids a lot of contact that way. And then I know they had that crazy stat where it's, you know, yards after contact and all that kind of stuff. sometimes I'm like, is it significant contact? Sometimes contact can be like, a glancing blow. Oh, that's contact. Like, okay, dude, that wasn't gonna stop me, and I don't have that ability. So sometimes those numbers can be a little inflated. Sometimes I think they're inflated when you're having a season like he was having as well. Mm-hmm. So I say all that to say that the level of competition, it does play a part, but I'm not going to completely discount what he did, because, again, it wasn't like he had 1,500 yards, 1,800 yards. He had 2,600 yards.
2,600.
That's a little different. That's a lot.
That's a lot of yards.
That's a lot. And I think after contact or whatever, he's like 1,700 yards or something like that. So, and he can catch the ball. He has shown the ability to be a better pass catcher. He didn't catch it so much last year, but the year before. So he seems to have that character thing all the way down as well. So there's upside in terms of having that type of player in your locker room. Mm-hmm. I just don't think you have to get him at 10. And I definitely don't want to trade up to get him, because there are so many other running backs that are available that are good character backs. And again, I don't know how good Genty is in pass pro. He hasn't really had to do it. I know Trayvon Henderson is one of the better blocking backs in this draft, and Judkins is not far behind him. He maybe doesn't have the technique that Henderson does, but Judkins does have the willingness to do so. And at the pro level, if you've got the willingness, they can teach you the technique and stuff. And again, you're not asking your running back to block too much, so it's not like every down or whatever, but, just enough so that he can, get in the way, be significant when it comes to someone about to sack your quarterback. So all that to say, there are other running backs, that are a little bit bigger. There are some that are faster. There are some that are a hybrid of inside, outside running and pass catching. So yeah, man, I just don't want to come away pissed off. That's all. I don't want to be a meme. I don't want to be a meme that y'all use going forward.
Yeah, it was a great show tonight, man. I'm all excited. I cannot wait for this draft.
I can't either, baby. One more. Hey, 24 in the wake up. Let's go.
Yeah.
Look how we used to say it in the Army. I don't know how y'all said it in the Navy now. 24 in the wake up, and we going home.
Up. That's right. Yes, sir. I'm with you.
Let's go. Keep this same energy now.
Yes, sir.
I was in military. I wasn't military. I might have to hit that snooze and see if I can get it on the second go around.
and then when we come in there and grab you by the ankles and say, hey, come here! Come here!
Yes, sir.
All right, fellas, another great show, man. Let's get ready, baby. Let's get ready. Hey, I hope everybody enjoyed the show tonight. We're going to be coming fast and furious this year. A lot of excitement, a lot of great content. And guess what? I feel this year is going to be different. We're not going to go through no 10-year losing streak this year. We're going to manifest this. We're going to be prophetic and say, guess what, guys? This year, it's going to be a year full of excitement. I'm not going to put no win-loss record out there, because the last 2 years, me personally, I've been off grotesquely. Grotesquely. I said 13-4 last year. We went 5.
You sure did. Hey, and you stood by that. You stood by it.
I lived the year before that. I said we was gonna go 11-6. We went 3-14. So this year I am not giving out a one-loss rate. It's not happening, fellas.
Smart move. Smart move.
So I can see us in the Super Bowl without doing that. Let's go, baby.
Yeah. All right, bear down, babies.
All right, boy. Hit him with the call, baby.
There we go. I use both hands.